Hey guys, it's Stephanie from Infinity. Welcome back. Today we are introducing two-step equations, which is simply still the introduction of algebra. Remember that algebra is simply just solving for a variable, and whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. And as I'm explaining these two-step equations, I will introduce you guys to proofs. They may sound difficult when everyone hears proofs. They're not that bad, guys. Trust me. You just solve the equation and then write what you were doing on the side of it. So let's take a look at it. So guys, as we get into more complicated algebraic equations, let's review a couple things that you should already know. So a variable is a letter or symbol that represents a number or quantity. Lots of people use X or Y, but you can also use a triangle or a Greek symbol or the letter A. Just remember that when performing APO or MPO, anything you do to one side, you do to the other. APO is simply adding to both sides, and APO is also subtracting to both sides. MPO is simply multiplying both sides, and it is also dividing both sides. And we are going to look into some properties as we go into this. So CLT is basically combining like terms, same exponents, same variables. And then the other one is distributive property, my lovely math humps. Check out our other video if you want to learn more about distributive property. And then the last one is given. It's simply the information that they give us, where you start. So let's take a look at an example of a three-step equation. So for 3 times x plus 2 equals 18, we will first perform distributive property, which we do my lovely math humps for. And then we will write distributed, so 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 2 is 6, so 3x plus 6 equals 18. And then we will obviously subtract 6 from both sides, performing APO. $18 minus 6 is 12. And then for our last thing, we have to divide both sides in order to get the variable by itself. So this way we will divide both sides by 3 to get x by itself, and we will get x is equal to 4. This is where we can introduce proofs. Like I said, not as hard as you may think. Let's make it a huge table. And then simply, these are the left side usually is the statements. And then the right side is usually the reason. All proofs always begin with given because that is what they are giving you. And then here, what did we perform? We performed distributive property, where I said we were doing my math humps. So simply we're just explaining what we did in the equation on the right side. So we will write distributive property. And then the next example, we subtracted 6 from both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other, and that is called APO. That is the property of equations. And then we divided 3 from both sides. Again, that is, we did that to one side and then to the other, and we got x equals 4, so that is MO. So multiplication property of equations. And that is how you do a proof. Let's take a look at some more examples. So in this problem, we're going to be doing the proof as we are going. So let's start. The right side again is the statements. And then the right side is reasons, the left is statements. Again, why do we know this? It is because it is given to us. So our first proof would be given. And then what do we begin with? If you think about Gemma, we are going to distribute first, giving us 7x minus 21 plus x is equal to 3. Next, we are going to combine like terms. Oh, I forgot to write the reason, my bad. So in this, what do we do in this one? We do distributive property, so we simply write distributive property as our reason. Next, now we are going to combine like terms because as you can see, two of the same variable and the same exponent. So we will add 7x plus x, which is 8x plus x is equal to 3. Wait, I messed it up. Oh my god. What do I do? So for our next reason, we're going to be combining like terms because the 7x and the x go together since they are the same variable and exponent, giving us 8x. So when we add them, minus 21 is equal to 3. So we will be writing combined like terms. We can usually write CLT to make it a lot shorter. And then for our next step, we are going to be adding 21 to both sides. What did we do here? We did the order of operations. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. And we did adding, so we did APO. Additive property of equations. Again, that gives us 8x equals 24. And then for our next problem, we are going to be dividing e from both sides in order to get the variable by itself. And that gives us x is equal to 3. And for that, we performed MPO. So we will be writing that in the reasons. So for our next example, many of you may want to divide 8 from both sides, and that works. However, remember you cannot just do 8x divided by 8. If you do this, you can't do it to a part of the equation, you gotta do it to the whole side of the equation. So you would have to divide this entire thing by 8, and then you would have to do the same thing to the other side. Later on, I'll explain why subtracting 3 from both sides is a lot easier, but let's try to take a look at this way. So in this way, you will just get x plus 3/8 is equal to 11/8. And if you love fractions, that's great, we could do that. But I personally prefer not using fractions. So anyways, you subtract 3/8 from both sides, giving you x is equal to 8 over 8, and that's how you get x is equal to 1. Here's a more simple way to do it. So let's rewrite the equation. 8x plus 3 is equal to 11. And let's try doing APO first. In these equations, sometimes it would be a lot easier to perform APO. So we will subtract 3 from both sides. That way we will get 8x is equal to 8. And then when we perform MPO after that, we will divide both sides by 8, giving us x is equal to 1 again. I simply prefer this way better, but some of you may like that better. Now let's take a look at some other examples. In this example, I will explain why it'll be a lot easier to do MPO before APO, so it just really depends on the example that you're using. So here we would rather just get rid of the fraction of the denominator, so we are going to multiply, we're going to put parentheses, so we're going to multiply the whole side of the whole left and right side by 7. This way, 7 and 7 cancel out, and we are going to get x plus 3 equals 4 times 7 is 28. And then lastly, we are going to perform APO. So in this case, again, we're doing APO the second time, not the first time. When we subtract 3 from both sides, here we will get x by itself, and then we are going to get 25 as the answer. So guys, I cannot stress it enough. In algebra, anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And simply, you can just use variables for that. Variables, remember, they represent a number or quantity. And remember not to forget APO and MPO. Again, it's the addition property of equations and multiplication property of equations. Those are simply just easy reasonings for proofs. And remember, proofs are not that difficult as you think. It's nice to have them introduced in this video before you start getting into geometry. And if I've stressed it enough, that anything you do to one side, you do to the other, make sure to like this video, subscribe, share with your friends, look us up again for any more math help on social media, YouTube, and thanks for listening, guys. Don't get more math problems, get solutions.